Here's a joke. I have never played World of Warcraft. Wait, was that actually a joke? But I know that there's no better non-WoW player than me to review 2 TV episodes that heavily reference or feature the popular MMORPG. They are the 2012 Dog with a Blog episode World of Warcraft and the 2006 South Park episode Make Love Not Warcraft. One episode is not necessarily good, with the other being the opposite of that. Let's start with the one that's not necessarily good. It is the Dog with the Blog one. This live-action Disney Channel comedy is one that I never knew existed until I explored the deep rabbit holes of the internet, and it's about a talking dog. How original. Who blogs? The dog essentially is brought into the family to ease the tensions between the step-siblings who try to keep the dog Stan's talking a secret. The episode World of Warcraft is the only episode besides one other that I've watched all the way through, outside of excerpts. And for good reason. The show generally has mixed or negative reviews due to the nature of its writing and humour, though it seems to have its fans. In any case, let's focus on how this Season 1 episode references the popular MMORPG. The episode is divided into 2 stories. The B story is about the youngest daughter Chloe wanting to get her ears pierced for a school picture against her parents' wishes. There are a couple of decent gags in there, but aside from that story's not really worth talking about anyway. The A story is the main focus here. We first see the dog Stan writing the blog, which generally happens every episode to mostly provide potentially funny dog thoughts and moral of the story reflections. The blog is about Stan playing World of Warcraft, Realm of the Tower, and quite possibly being addicted to it too. No surprises there. His avatar name is Poodle Lover 152. Yep, he's attracted to poodles. He bonds online with Kilgore, later revealed to be named Kevin. He is determined to meet Kilgore at a meetup, except the oldest daughter Avery reminds him he's a talking dog. So she volunteers to pretend to be the one playing the game, with a voice modifier.
The boys aren't embarrassed when they lose to a girl.
Avery and Stan go to the meetup under the supervision of a mother Ellen. While Kilgore is surprised at first to find out he's been seemingly playing with a girl the whole time, he gets used to it. The conversation doesn't go smoothly as Avery is clueless about the game. Stan couldn't have taught Avery about the game, and the questions and answers Stan wants Avery to say are obviously dog related. Instead, Avery takes over the situation and finds out she and Kevin both like art. Avery and Stan fight over their bond with Kevin, while an in-game battle goes on, causing Kevin to lose. In retaliation, he steals Poodle Lover 152's weapons and spells, as well as
my mule! I had a flying mule! Sure, he was stubborn, but he could go anywhere!
Can't you just get more stuff?
It took me 3 months to collect all this stuff.
Oh yes, the frustrations that a WoW player experiences when their account is seemingly inaccessible, whether due to technical issues or a prank. All the time they wasted getting those cool items instead of socializing and In a typical kids show fashion, Avery and Stan rekindle their friendship and realize they shouldn't have been mean to each other and that Kilgore wasn't a real friend, the typical sugary sweet stuff. They then decide to play the game together in a scene that features a reference that, personally, never gets old for me.
Okay, Avery, it won't be easy taking Kilgore down in his lair. We have to mount a perfectly coordinated attack. Follow very carefully in my footsteps and do exactly what I...
All right, time's up. Let's do this. Avery Jennings!
Leroy Dragons!
Oh my gosh, you just ran in! Stick to the plan! Use your soul stone!
What's a soul stone?
And there we go, Avery and Stan are victorious in battle.
Oh, I have no idea what I did.
So is the A story actually any good? And does it make good references to World of Warcraft? Well, it seems that the production team didn't ask or couldn't get permission from Blizzard. That will be talked about later in this video. So they had to invent their own game, complete with its own lore, including fire elves, cave trolls, ice trolls, octo bunnies, as well as a Dream Winter Guild in an ambush to steal the Ring of Deshamane. Maybe Realm of the Tower should be an actual game now. The idea of being addicted to such a game is touched on, including the moment where the mother Ellen is surprised to see the players bringing laptops to the park instead of doing more face-to-face interaction. Ellen also surprisingly gets addicted to gamer juice, as does the father Bennett and even Stan in his closing blog. The physical humour can potentially be funny, though Kevin says the juice contains a lot of sugar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even a sugar-heavy drink wouldn't even help me in getting a high chain combo in a Tetris Attack style game. Still, the story is a typical one about friendship, with the humour mostly consisting of near misses, of Stan almost giving it away to Kevin that he's a dog. Only a couple of the jokes seem to land there, with a few funny ones actually being references to playing the MMORPG, but don't require that much knowledge about it. This episode is probably not bad enough to throw into a flaming pit of Rondor, so to speak. But that makes it all the more rewarding to see that things written in previous decades were quite possibly of a higher quality, which brings us on to the South Park episode. The TV show itself surely needs no introduction, other than it's an adult cartoon primarily consisting of 4 boys and a bunch of side characters in the small title town in Colorado. The Season 10 episode Make Love Not Warcraft is highly regarded to the point of being considered one of the show's best episodes. Using a lot of machinima-style animation to mimic the graphics of a popular MMORPG, the story sees an annoying high-level player, or griefer, killing players while essentially exceeding the level limit and ignoring the duel option in the game. Carmen, Stan, Kyle and Kenny are among the thousands of players that quit the game, until the 4 boys decide to defeat the griefer by playing the game constantly to level up, becoming as lazy, obese and acne-ridden as the griefer himself in the process. The Blizzard Entertainment executives, who fear losing all their subscribers, notice the 4 boys and realize they could defeat the griefer, but only with the Sword of 1,000 Troops, a weapon removed from the game because of its power. They struggle to find the boys, yet they reluctantly give the sword to a noob, Stan's father Randy. With Randy's help, the griefer is defeated, which means the boys can play the game as originally intended despite their negative health. Blizzard's involvement in the episode is a stark contrast to what would later become the Dog with a Block episode. The episode gets so much right about the game, while at the same time so much wrong, possibly deliberately so. Hey, I did my research, maybe I'm a WoW expert. There is no such place as Stonehaven, there is no such thing as a Bloodfish, and Randy knows far less about the game than the boys do, getting his characters, level stats and so on mixed up. Plus he mimics his son's antisocial behaviour, calling his boss an artard. He easily has the best moments in the episode, whether acting over the top with waving to other in-game characters or making dying noises. Or I'm probably just saying that because I would be similar to him when attempting WoW for the first time with little more than minor understanding of the game and Warcraft lore to help. It is also very amusing to see the WoW characters speak in the voices of the characters, including the recurring "They Kill Kenny" gag, and little background details such as artwork of the other Blizzard games StarCraft and Diablo warrant multiple viewings. There are no Leroy Jenkins references, though the griefer, generally referred to as he who has no life, is apparently named Jenkins. Oh, and the loss of potential WoW subscribers being referred to as the end of the world of Warcraft is a joke that is used sparingly and effectively. Of course, the main talking point of the episode is its commentary on what was, and to an extent still is, a notable series of addiction stories regarding the game, where many people will play the game for hours on end, neglecting real life in the process. This is especially evident in the montage showing the 4 boys getting more and more unhealthy just to get enough XP, even though they, and the other side characters except for Butters who would rather play Hello Kitty Island Adventure, were reasonably healthy in the first place while still playing compulsively. The commentary is subtle, and is mostly a refreshing change from the general mocking, lampooning and satirical roasts of generally notable or famous real-life people. Instead, it is about the negative, trolling, immature gamer stereotypes seen in Jenkins, which is surely not representative of those who are perceived as obese, nerdy, basement-dwelling gamers who have no life. That is subjective, right down to the show's general use of profanity and toilet humour featured in this episode not being for everyone. But it's still South Park, and it is a very good episode. In fact, if you haven't really watched South Park, and are at least interested in games, including World of Warcraft, this is a good entry point. So, you can watch the Dog with a Block episode,
or you can sit at your computer and do something that matters.
watch Make Love Not Warcraft. So what do both TV episodes have in common? Well, there is some commentary on game addiction, online interaction with people, players having little experience or understanding with certain games, and gamer stereotypes, though this is all largely second fiddle in the Dog with a Block episode. There is also a fair amount of commands being issued or prepared, almost like the beginning of the Leroy Jenkins video. All in all, this is the prophecy that was foretold, of someone who has never played World of Warcraft, who would review 2 episodes about it on a YouTube channel, named Video Games for Fun. That's it for this April 1st video. I am off to not play World of Warcraft. Doing so would probably result in me having no life and no further uploads to this channel. Have a good day or night or whatever it is, and I'll see you next time.